Hello, welcome to part 2 of our Let's Play as Italy. It is January 1937. The Nationalists are doing alright there in Spain, but not won yet. The rest of the world looks much as you'd expect. So let's get going. If you remember from last time, conquered Ethiopia, got our army organised into an African force and a Roman force. Yeah, right now I'm going to start the process of assigning officers for all of my units, which you will find riveting, I am sure. Yeah, generally what I do is I start off with the Army Corps here, because I like the logistical bonuses, and I give them the high skilled generals. And I also try and give generals with logistics traits up nice and high. Just because their logistics wizard bonus gets transferred to all the units under them. I mean, it's not a huge effect, because it diminishes every step up in the chain of command, but it still makes a difference. Generally, the other thing I'm also doing here is I'm trying to make my African army, in particular, kind of very light logistically, so I'm trying to give them the best logistics where I can. Skill-wise, I'm kind of not concerned with the best generals go, other than logistics, but yeah. So yeah, no skill 2 logistics, so I go for an offensive there. Winter Specialist probably isn't going to be much use in North Africa, but out of supply bonus will help. I prefer a level 2 with no real bonuses to a level 1 without logistics. I mean, you could argue the point, especially since I'm kind of thinking that I won't be able to guarantee my supply lines to North Africa. But, whatever. I made my decision. Yeah, Italy doesn't have a great quality of officers. I mean, we've still at the core level and I'm already down to people with a skill of 1. I should point out, I'm avoiding that guy with a skill of 2 there because I really dislike the old guard trait. I mean, I know it's not actually that bad. All it does is it decreases the rate that units gain experience at. But, yeah, I avoid it like the plague. Well, not so much. I tend to give it to my second line forces, which in this case is going to be the garrison armies, just so that I don't have to look at it. You see, yeah. We're at the divisional level, and I'm starting off with the African army, so that I can make sure to give them the best logistics generals. Sorry, Duke of Abruzia, you have to be demoted. And I'll try playing with the filters, but for some reason it just doesn't work for me. Okay. I should point out again that this is also completely unnecessary. That button, which I'm sure you'll see again in a second, in the centre down the bottom, called auto assign, is on by default, and it will just put the generals where the AI thinks is best, and you don't have to do any of this. But I like to. I mean, yeah, the generals do give you bonuses, and like I said, in this situation, I want the African army to be light on supplies, so it's better to get in there and do this yourself in those situations. Yeah, well, the other advantage of this is it gives me something to do. Well, we are waiting for diplomacy to progress. Naval bombers. Excellent. I'll need them because I'm not going to be able to put too much resources into my fleet, unfortunately. And the British and French navies, well, combined, they're more powerful than me. I could maybe beat the French navy by itself, although I think they've got aircraft carriers. Not that that matters too much in the Mediterranean, where land-based bombers can help, but... oh. You'll notice all the generals, well, not quite all, but most of the generals with any skill at all now have old guards and I'm not going to be using them. Which means pretty soon I'm going to have to start giving generals with no skills to units. And yeah, I can't give generals to those army divisions yet, because technically they've only got a single brigade each, while their tanks are being produced. Man, it must have to be that guy. He was like, I can't even remember the rank. Very high rank, and he just got demoted from being the equivalent of an army leader down to a division leader. Oh, I mean, in real life I would not like to be him, and you couldn't really trust him, to be honest. Because, I mean, Mussolini, he basically came to power, definitely not by military coup, but it was kind of with a threat of force, and I wouldn't quite trust my generals not be thinking, you know, I've got a division here. Maybe I could just do the same thing. You know, Mussolini did just kind of demote me quite significantly. Oh, I don't think that mechanic's actually represented in the game, so you can screw it with your generals. Maybe it's something Hearts of Iron should think about for... Paradox should think about for Hearts of Iron 4. Just to screw with people like me who demote the useless. I mean, it's also kind of like ahistorical to be like, yeah, I know this random general who hasn't been tested before is better than you, even though you've been at your job for years, got all this experience. So I'm going to demote the untested guy over you. Sorry. Yeah. Just clearing out my technologies. It's about time I get some more land series. Those ones help out my tanks. They will help out my anti-tank guns. Not that I have any of those at the moment, just on the garrison divisions and building. Bonuses for my infantry. Yeah, I decided I don't want to... The grand battle plan, which that one leads to, is a good thing. Like, it's good technology to have, gives good bonuses, but I'm kind of, what was it, 18 months behind in research? So even just skipping one actually makes a fair difference. Level 0 generals. Yep. So you might be asking, what's the point of giving these guys command when they're not actually providing any bonuses to my soldiers? The point is that when they get into combat, they'll start gaining experience, and they could end up being on, well, they could actually end up being anything up to 10 is I think the max. So I mean, it doesn't hurt to have them on the front lines if you've got no one better, because eventually they'll be better. That's the first army done, and the third and the second. So I think it's just the garrison forces left to do. Starting off with the army. Ooh. Yep, you get promoted because you are useless. Well, not useless. Gets promoted because it's old guard. People under his command do not learn very well. thing is, compared to my regular army, these generals aren't actually that bad. Well, they're probably average in my army at the moment. The thing is, they're just going to stop the units under them from learning how to be better soldiers. Which is kind of okay in garrison forces, because they're probably... Actually, to be honest, most of them probably aren't going to fight any battles at all. I doubt any of them will fight more than 2 or 3 tops. And even that, if they do a single city or port gets to fight 2 or 3 battles, it's not looking good for Italy at that point. Oddly enough, the Italian Navy also doesn't have good admirals, I should say. Which is odd considering that this was easily their best military arm. And the same with the Air Force, 1 level 3, 1 level 2. A fair few level 1s, but you'd be surprised at a few. Okay, I'm looking for someone who's actually got some skills at fighting other aircraft. But they're few and far between. Yeah, and the air transport wing can get an old guard general because they're not going to see much combat. Well, hopefully they're not going to see much combat. Okay, well that's done. That killed 2 months. It's the other bonus of going and doing the generals manually. I'm just looking, yeah. Got things coming. I was just checking the bonuses there. I kind of want one more naval bomber squadron. But it's... oh, the Nationalists are winning. Excellent. Hopefully they'll be an ally in the future. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I want another naval bomber squadron. But it's best to wait till after the current one and the tactical bombers have finished being built. Just to get... it's called a gearing bonus, where it's just your industry gets more experienced at building that broad type of aircraft so they can do it cheaper and quicker. I think it's supposed to simulate how, you know, machine tools get built, production lines set up. Light tank guns, industrial efficiency will help. One of the problems I have with this game is that some of the things you do aren't explained that well, and industrial efficiency is one of them. There's 2 technologies, industrial production, industrial efficiency. In production, if you go right up the top, that just says, you know, due to tech, +5 production. So that's fair enough, but industrial efficiency doesn't actually explain what it does anywhere. So I'm not actually 100%, I assume it's good, but I think what it does is it actually just kind of makes your units cheaper. I'm not sure whether that's just kind of their base value, or whether it actually increases the gearing bonus that I just talked about. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure it does one or the other. So now southern Italy as well is actually fairly secure. You know, probably the point I've got defended by garrison soldiers at the moment is probably about the point that the Allies invaded too by the time Italy surrendered. So you can make an argument I've defended enough now. I mean, yeah. I very much doubt this is going to end up exactly like history does. I mean, the games are always close to history, but they never quite seem to work out the way they should. I mean, that's the point of making the game. If it turned out the way it would, if it turned out the same way every time, it wouldn't be very fun. So our light tanks being upgraded. Here, doctrines, there's a few we should research here. So that's another one I'm not too sure about. Bomber targeting focus and fighter targeting focus. Because to me, and it's the same with forward air control and battlefield infliction, like, my temptation is to research both of them because I want both bonuses, but it seems to me like targeting fighters plus 10% cancels out the bomber targeting plus 10%. I'm not sure if that's true because I'm not sure how exactly targeting mechanics works and whether it's targeting bombers or targeting fighters, or it's kind of done separately. Oh, I didn't explain that very well. Anyway, I usually choose to only research one, simply because I'm not sure if researching a second one will actually kind of cancel out the first or improve them both. I mean, I assume doing both would actually improve things overall, or make it better at both attacking fighters and attacking bombers. But I'm not sure, so I tend to use that as an excuse to cut out a technology or two. It's kind of stupid, but they really could explain these things better. Amelia Earhart disappears. Kind of not relevant for what's going on in Italy at the moment. Yay, we stole British technology. And it was actually a good one. Battleship anti-aircraft armament, which you'd notice was one we were actually researching. So I actually went to cancel it there, but I cancelled it south, which was nice, seemingly, or maybe I didn't research it to start with. Okay. Ghost spies. Saving me a couple of months of researching their technology, I suppose. Our armoured brigades are coming through. Garrisons are coming through. Our air forces. Actually, it's kind of almost there. Things are going alright at this point. I mean, we've still got no forces in North Africa, but as I said in the last episode, I am waiting till my African army gets upgraded and gets extra brigades before I send it over. Just because once it's over there, I'm not really going to be able to deploy much units, much more forces there easily. Or at least not without running a gauntlet of British planes and submarines and ships operating out of Malta and Alexandria and Gibraltar. And probably the French as well, at least at the start. Oh, the Republicans are still holding on. Good for them, I suppose, but not for us. Oh, Japan! Let's join the Axis. Why can't I join the Axis? I'm fairly certain Italy joined first. And, oh, Battleship Hamaku. If my history, my recollection of it's correct, I'm pretty sure it was signed Italy and Germany and then Japan joined later. But this time I'm not welcome yet. Oh well. Maybe Germany won't ever let me in and I'll just have to sit the war out. Just kind of hang out here. I mean, I've got Libya and Ethiopia. Restart the Roman Empire with that. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I totally wanted the Axis. It would be so dull without that. Just watching the Second World War happen and just kind of sitting there. Yeah. Cool, engineers and TDs are starting to get work on. They'll be done in April next year. It's currently October 1937. Yep, and I want my medium tanks quickly. Yep, Nationalists won. Excellent. I mean, it's kind of been a foregone conclusion for a while now, but I suppose it saves them losing any more men. Start rebuilding their economy quicker. See, I've still got tons of spies. Nowhere else I really want to send them. So I'll think about it for a bit. More garrisons to deploy. Just reorganising units here, changing an army into an army group, just because it has better radios, so we can support units at longer range. What am I going to call it? Garrison? No, garrison forces. Nice and simple, I suppose. Let's join these corps directly. They go in the army. South Italy garrison. Nope, South Garrison Army. This is going to be the North Garrison Army. North Garrison Army. And yes, I have to go fix up that capital G. Well, sorry, I have to fix the little g to enter the capital G. Can't tolerate that. How will Italy win the war with little g's where capital G should be? Cool, our infantry divisions are coming along. It'll be handy because at the moment our third army has, what, 6 infantry divisions? It's kind of not really an army so much as a reserve corps, but yeah, it'll get there. Yeah, cancelling the garrisons. By the looks of it, the ones that we have coming will be more than enough to defend what we need. I mean, we'll need more if we start conquering, but we'll always make more later. Here we go, upgrading all the militias to infantry. You note I had to deselect the garrison there, because otherwise that would end up being an infantry thing. Infantry division, which just uses more supplies, and I mean it's better, but the dudes who are going to be left behind to defend Naples don't actually have to be that great. Oh cool, January 38. Yeah, that won't take that long, but it's going to be a bit of work getting all those brigades upgraded. The thing is, while this is happening, a lot of my army actually can't move. Like, all those divisions that were made up of 2 militia brigades, of which there were actually quite a few, they've now got 0 brigades, so they're kind of just going to sit in position. You can't move them. Well, there's no point moving them because they can't actually fight. Which means I can't relocate, and if I'm attacked, all those ones on the frontier, if their province gets captured, they're going to dissolve. Which doesn't mean much. I think it just means once the brigades get upgraded, they'll appear in Rome with like 0 organisation, 0 morale, and it's not great, but it's not a tragedy either. It just means mostly my border with France there isn't anywhere near as strong as it looks at this particular moment of time. But France isn't going to attack me. Like, I'd go so far as to say it's probably impossible for them to attack me with my threat level and their neutrality at the moment. But even then, they're probably more scared of Germany than me, so they're not going to take too many forces off the Maginot Line. And they just probably don't think they can beat me with what they have left. So I'm kind of fairly not fairly confident, I am absolutely confident that France isn't going to trouble me. I mean, playing as an Axis, either Italy or Germany, I've never had France declare war on me before kind of late 1940. And that was in a game as Germany where I just didn't bother with spies. So Italy was able to just raise my neutrality. Austria is now German. See, I should be in the Axis by this point, because historically Germany only annexed Austria, did the Anschluss thing, after they were sure that Italy was their ally. Because up until the Pact of Steel kind of thing, Italy was publicly saying that they would support Austria, they would not tolerate Austria becoming part of Germany. Yeah, oh, here we go. Better late than never. So I'm now in the Axis, along with Germany. And yes, Yugoslavia, you hold Italian territory. I was about to declare war. Then I think maybe I should move some soldiers towards the border first. It kind of strikes me as a smart thing to do. But you'll note that just a moment ago, I said that a lot of my soldiers actually can't move right now. So it's kind of a stupid time to declare war, but I'm doing it anyway. I mean, Yugoslavia is not a hard country to beat as Italy. The war, it's not exactly easy either, but it usually takes 5-6 months, maybe. Sometimes more, sometimes less. I'd better use my African army. For some reason at that point I was thinking, I'll just leave them sitting in at Naples. I can afford to have, what is it, probably 45% of my forces, including all of my tanks. Just sit this war out, it's only Yugoslavia. Then it gives me that's actually a really stupid thing to think. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of pulling out a couple of core headquarters while they're en route, so that I can order the individual corps into their attacking positions. And now I'm splitting off kind of a battle fleet from my reserves. I mean, Yugoslavia doesn't have much of a navy, but these guys will patrol the Yugoslav coast in case the navy pops out. I mean, it's not strong, but it could kill a few of my transport ships and the convoys. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a bit of force out there. And the thing is, while they're out patrolling, they might well sink some of the Yugoslav convoys. And I'm fairly certain that Yugoslavia is going to be dependent on foreign imports or something. Especially once we go to war, because I doubt their industry can provide enough fuel. Actually, oil's probably the one thing they really need. But when they're at war, they're going to need a lot of supplies and a lot of oil and a lot of fuel. Yep. For some reason I ordered my transport ships to escort a convoy. Yep, that was not what I needed to do. These escort convoys can directly escort ships. In this case it's that supply convoy in red that you just saw. This one can escort these three, or that one. It all covers kind of the same thing. Because those are kind of the two convoys, or the two areas that the Yugoslavs are most likely, or most able to attack. Engineers can go to an armoured division, I think. So those question marks are the divisions that can't move right now, which you'll note are a significant portion of my forces. And I've just realised my armoured divisions don't actually have any generals. So, they will need some before the war. And because it's now 1938, we have a few more generals available. Actually, we have a lot more generals available. It's kind of odd, but I suppose these are the ones that were, promoted to general rank in 1938. I guess there's so many of them because the Italian army must have been expanding at the time. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure where these things come from, but they're there. Plenty of generals now. Get the Air Force in position. Air bases in the north to intercept there. We don't really have any in the south. To attack southern Yugoslavia, we're going to actually have to be flying from bases in Italy. So moving to the south, they have the range to cross the Adriatic Sea. Tactical bombers moving towards the front there, basing in Venice. They'll have the range to cover most of Italy there, most of northern Yugoslavia there. Probably should actually be using my ships for this. I'm having much quicker. I suppose there's no rush, though. Yugoslavia's not going anywhere. Mr. Taranto. They'll, I suppose, be doing a combination of convoy destruction, port destruction. Just try and hamper whatever convoys bringing resources into Yugoslavia. See, that headquarters has no actual soldiers under it at the moment. It's got an entire corps that can't fight. No. It's only a corps, I'm sure it won't be needed. TDs can go with the Engineer Brigade and Cavalry Brigade. This war will feature horses. So I'm just going to leave the Armored Division in reserve for now. My plan hasn't really developed at the moment. But I'm thinking I've got more than enough soldiers. I can kind of put an infantry corps on each border province and just kind of get them to attack simultaneously, while the armoured corps can move through them to try and exploit and attack quickly into any gaps that develop. And I kind of figure the easiest way to win this is to kind of charge through and try and cut most of the army off, or at least the part of the army in northern Yugoslavia. Cut them off by reaching the border with Hungary and possibly Romania. Well, if we reach the border with Romania, it's a big encirclement, it's going to be hard to defend, but yeah, that's the plan. I'm kind of just winging it at this point. I mean, my soldiers aren't even in position. Yep, load that corps onto transports, and they can start in Zara. But you know, it's kind of an enclave. That's why I wasn't quite sure whether I'm going to have that corps attack or just get them to hold their position. But if they do attack, the front line is going to be stretched very thin very quickly. And other than that support of Split or Dubrovnik, one or the other, there's not actually much for them to grab there. So it might be kind of better just have them sit there until my other forces from the north here arrive, and then they can join up and advance south. But we'll see. Upgrading on medium tank guns, and well, everything on them. The thing is, we don't have any medium tanks yet, but we'll get them someday. And when we get them, they're going to be awesome. Well, actually, considering those are 1936 technologies, and we're not going to get them until 1939, they're going to be a long way behind. But that's going to be awesome for Italy, because it's a lot better than what we have at the moment. And to be honest, tanks are great. Just tanks. Okay, we've almost got a core in every place. Every border province. Germany's got them there. Oh! Japan won the war in China. No, they haven't, they just seized the coast. They've done really, really well there. I believe that's them winning just then. Yep, don't see a war there. But they're also not a puppet, which would have been nice. China's actually quite a powerful country, or it can be quite a powerful country, and prefer it on my side than not. Oh, Japan's at peace. That's going to be really good. And they've grabbed all the resources from China. They're going to be powerful. See, Germany grabs Austria, Japan grabs China, and I grab Ethiopia. Soon I'll get Yugoslavia. Pausing it. Here we go. Declare war. No, limited war. If I declare a regular war, Germany will show up and probably take a few of my provinces. A few of the provinces I intend to grab off Italy. Yugoslavia. Why do I keep saying that? And yes, the trains run on time. A very important thing to note. Okay. Time to start this offensive. We'll start with the aircraft. Yugoslavia. You two, just over all that blue area. It includes a fair chunk within Italy, but that's alright. Let's see how far these guys can reach. Well, they can cover the coast, some of the coast. That's not going to be that useful, to be honest. Oh no, I was going to say they don't have an airbase, but they've got one airbase in there. So I suppose if they move aircraft towards the coast, those fighters might be able to hit them. And they're in the bombers. Port strike. And there's a port strike. And convoy raiding. Our tactical bombers. Interdiction. What that means is it'll go and bomb the rear area of the combat troops, focusing particularly on the ones in combat, which will just lower their organisation values and make them easier for the ground forces to defeat in combat. You know, there's actually plenty of options here, they all do slightly different things. But I tend to prefer interdiction if I'm on the offensive. I'll probably actually stick with it on the offensive usually as well. But quite often I will go with logistical strike as well. It can be effective on the defense, just because it cuts the flow of supplies to the frontline soldiers and they'll become a lot less combat effective. And yeah, just send all my submarines up convoy raiding. And you can have a promotion. There you go. Okay, now the army. Well, the border's undefended, so I feel like I should attack, and it was split, that city. Was that close to Kalabag? It was there. The Alpine troops go here. Yep. Cool. The borders match up, so every corps gets attacked. And the Army Corps will move down there, which will link up between our forces at Kalabag on the border. Cool. And you have still got no soldiers. And you've got 3 divisions. And there's our Africans all in reserve. The front line's going to extend as the war goes on. So I'm kind of... That's not even really Africans, they're not really on the front line. So those couple of corps that just pulled out there are going to come and fill in the gaps as our front line extends. There we go, attack commenced. And we are winning all along the front. We start seeing the convoys and we're winning the battles, excellent. Oh, we're winning these handily. Like, I clicked through them pretty quick, but you saw most of them were like 30 or 50 casualties on our side to 100 and something on their side. So I mean, they're all minor skirmishes at this point, but it's a promising sign. Our armoured divisions are actually already on the front lines. And there we go, we capture them. Captured some of the front. So now we just continue the advance. Going to buy... continually attacking them. It's going to help to keep the morale and organisation down. Because the fact that those frontline soldiers have retreated from their last battle kind of means that they're going to struggle, but they're going to lose organisation, and if you keep pressure on, they're not going to be able to regain it. So here I am, I'm pushing my armoured troop, or my armoured corps, in the direction of the Hungarian border with the hope of trapping all the Yugoslav forces north of Zagreb. Starting to put up a bit more of the fight now. They're getting into urban areas and mountains. It's probably actually more that they're a bit more prepared now. But yeah, but I'll wait a little while for that division to reorganise itself after the last little push. But I've got more divisions going to kind of leapfrog through it. Hopefully they can reach the border before all those soldiers can escape. Well, hopefully that headquarters will be up and will get trapped as well. And while I'm moving to trap those divisions in North Yugoslavia, my infantry corps keep up the pressure to try and prevent them from turning and escaping and running away. Just want to keep as much forces up there fighting my infantry as I can, because eventually they will get surrounded and they'll get trapped, or they'll get trapped and surrounded and they'll have to surrender. So keep them fighting, keep them disorganised, keep them demoralised and stop them from running away. That's the plan. I mean, my armoured push doesn't actually seem to be doing that well. It's not that far ahead of my infantry at this point. And here's a... oh no, I'm kind of lucky there was only an HQ division in Sisek. Because if they'd have had infantry there, they could have actually held me, since I was also crossing a river. There's a fairly significant bonus for that. I think that actually looks like it's hills as well, which they would have got another defensive bonus from. This war's going really well. And you're only 2 provinces away from trapping the enemy. But, yeah. That infantry corps there is kind of just defending this, I suppose you call it the shoulders, I think, of my breakthrough there. Just kind of move up, prevent any of those divisions to the south side of my encirclement from coming up and causing trouble there. Well, we're almost there. 1 province to go and there's no one defending it. Wow. I think this is probably the best war I've ever had with Yugoslavia. They've started putting up a decent resistance way up in the north of the mountains there. But they're encircled, they're going to lose all those soldiers. And that looks like it's a huge chunk of their army. A huge chunk. Actually, I've probably already conquered about a third of the country, and the war's a month old. Oh. Well done, Italy. I know, that strategy wasn't anything special. For some reason it just worked. They didn't have any soldiers in the one place that I attacked with my armoured corps. Hungary wants to talk to us. They're giving us transit rights, okay. Just looking for some more technologies to research. But there don't seem to be any I want just yet. Tactical command structure. Bonus for our motorized troops and our single cavalry brigade. Yep. Anything else? No. See those soldiers in that pocket, the Yugoslav ones, they're doing a fair fight right there. So I'm going to have a supporting attack. Well, that's ended. Well, that's pretty well going to end their resistance. But the thing is, they're not going to be able to fight on that well because they're no longer getting any supplies. It's only a matter of time until they surrender. And I'm just moving that infantry corps down south because, well, the line's shortened up in the north, and the line's kind of thin down here. I mean, I say that, but look at this, we completely outnumber the Yugoslavs. I mean, there could be a few divisions hiding under those HQ divisions, but I only saw one infantry division along the entire southern front. So maybe I've actually surrounded all of them, like their entire armies in the north. I know there's a couple of units under that core HQ, so there are a few more. But either way, they're not in good shape. I really should be attacking to the south right now. I'm kind of just focusing on killing this pocket. Look at that. Spotted there's a few divisions there, so I'm going to encircle them. It's probably actually kind of unnecessary because they can't hold the front as it is. But it doesn't hurt to take a few more divisions out. Really should have just started doing it a few days ago or even weeks ago, to be honest. But better late than never. I think I've said that a couple of times this video. Whatever. Look, they arrived down there. So they can continue the offensive. See those Yugoslavs, they're not even trying to escape. They must see what's coming. That infantry corps is advancing straight to Belgrade. I mean, I kind of realised that there wasn't actually anybody there defending anything along the front that I wanted them to attack to. So just keep going until you capture the capital. Yep, complete another encirclement. And we won. But now I have to block those soldiers' retreat. The Yugoslav soldiers' retreat, otherwise they'll get out. Break through my lines and those in keep out. Or maybe I'll just capture that territory they're in and they just disappear. We're overrun by my forces. Now my armoured wall, just head straight to... where is that? Skopje? Straight to Skopje. I think it's Skopje. Which kind of means this corps, which is also reserved, is just going to move to the front. I mean, I think once the armoured corps and that infantry corps there arrive, there will be one. And see here, we've overrun these soldiers, but they're not surrendering. Not sure why that happens sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't, but... well, we've kind of got forces in both the... well, there you go. In both the provinces they're retreating into, so... they're going to fight, and they're going to lose because they're retreating into our guns. There we go. We've only got one HQ corps left, and they've got nothing left in the north. At least one infantry division left elsewhere in their country, 2 infantry divisions, along with one here, but they actually, one of them at least seems to be retreating. There's our armoured corps just heading straight through. If you can't tell, kind of quite overconfident by this point. I've just ordered another corps into Sarajevo, which, if I capture Sarajevo, Belgrade and Skopje, then we've got all of their victory points and they will just surrender. To be honest, I think I actually probably only need 2 of the 3, but 3 and 3 doesn't hurt. Yeah, this is the point where I look on the map and realise, oh, I picked the one spot to drive my armour corps through where they didn't have terrain bonuses. But that was probably the only point on the border where I could have actually done what I did, and I just kind of stumbled on it by dumb luck. You should actually look at the terrain map while making your plans. It is kind of useful. It's just not something I've learned yet. But as you saw, every once in a while you get lucky. I mean, even idiots get lucky sometimes, and you know, it helps me out. So you just keep up the pressure, charging them in. And there's no one in this area. I've got what looks like actually about 4 infantry corps moving in on it to some extent. This has been a complete and utter slaughter. See, I'm happy now. Germany got Austria, Japan got most of China, and I absolutely slaughtered Yugoslavia. But there's no way they can win at this point, it's just convincing them they should surrender. Here we go, look. War at sea, yep, we are kicking ass when on land, it's not even comparable. Their losses are 30,000 IC days and 26,000 manpower. 26,000 manpower, they come right. It's been 2,600 manpower, and mine are negligible. Like, they couldn't even rebuild their losses. Well, they could maybe rebuild what they've lost in this war by the end of the Second World War, but it was actually going to be a big push. 30,000 IC days in production is a huge thing, and they've probably only got about 40 or 50 a day to go with. So yeah, that is years upon years of their entire industry has been destroyed. And the vast majority of that will be purely surrendered in that part in the north. Belgrade. Almost reached Skopje as well. We have won the Battle of Sarajevo. Excellent, we lost 0 soldiers doing it. I think that's because they only had headquarters troops defending it. Yeah, just like then, We lost 0, but we killed 0 because they didn't actually fight. They just ran away as soon as they saw us. There you go, we captured Skopje. Moving into Belgrade soon. It looks like we've actually chosen the stupid route to attack. And they've got divisions there. We are attacking across a river into a city. So we're not doing very well. It will improve over time, but it's not a great way to attack. And we're being bombed. You see their organisation's decreasing at a decent rate. Of course, a better general, but there's no harm in ordering a few infantry divisions in there. But at that time I made sure do not attack across the river. Attack from the south. So yeah, once those guys arrive, there'll be 15 infantry divisions, 20 now, fighting 2 garrison divisions. But the front lines will be long enough to contain them. So a decent chunk of them go into reserve. It still helps. We still haven't captured Sarajevo. Did I just order the troops that were going to capture Sarajevo to advance on Belgrade? I think I did. Oh well. Huh. There we go, the Alpine troops will capture Sarajevo. Battle still not doing in our favour. We must just not be grinding down quickly enough. Actually, we're slowly losing. Our divisions are being battered. I mean, yeah, attacking across a river into a city is probably one of the worst situations you can be in. Oh, we won. We must have captured Sarajevo. It's June. The war started in like May. So 2 months to conquer Yugoslavia. I'm fairly certain that's the quickest I've done by some way. So African units can head back to Naples, waiting for their boat. First army, where are you? There you are. March back to the Italian border. Third army can just stay there, I suppose. And now back to the usual peacetime activity of organising our garrison forces efficiently. Well, now I've actually got a whole other country to garrison. So, a bit more to do. I can't believe how easy that was. I'm fairly certain that wars with Yugoslavia usually take about half a year. Like, you get bogged down in the mountains and they just kind of wear you out. And yeah. This time I just got incredibly lucky. I found the one spot where I could attack, and I attacked it. Just tore them apart and they surrendered and we won. I suppose the other lucky thing was that they didn't have any transit rights through Hungary. Otherwise they could have retreated their army around through Hungary and around and back into their country. Oh, so we had a bit of luck there, but well, really that was all luck because I didn't bother looking at the train map mode. But that was a fantastic result there. So now we're getting the anti-tank brigades for all of our infantry divisions. I counted we need 46. And that'll be reserves, because it saves me a little bit on industrial capacity at the moment. But it'll cost me a little bit more in manpower later on, or when the war starts and you actually need the manpower. I'm going to have to send it into those units to get them up to full strength. Well, that's it for this episode.